Mike, good morning, brother.
Hey, welcome. I'm excited.
Hey, where are you right now, by the way? What, this is your office?
Yep, this is my home office in Tampa, Florida.
Is Tampa doing something with hockey right now? Is there a big hockey tournament that involves you guys?
You know what? Outside of this office here, and then my wife and son in the other room, I couldn't tell you what the hell's happening
I,
inside of Tampa.
what's crazy is I want to say nothing could be happening when it comes to hockey in Tampa. And then I'm absolutely convinced that I've seen something recently from a friend who lives in Florida. So
Taylor Swift was the big news in Tampa. She filled up like 270,000 people at the Raymond James Stadium 3 days, and it was like a huge deal up for our city. So that
that's
just
crazy.
happened.
Mike, let's talk about let's just take a deep dive right away and let's talk about who you are as a man, which really let's travel back to your childhood of where it began. And let's just unpack maybe a defining moment as a kid for you to help us know who you are today a little bit better.
Sure. So it's interesting at Front Row Dad Live in Austin, I went back into meditation and we did the whole breath work, and I went back down to an early memory of mine when I was a little kid. I was probably maybe like 6. My sister's 2 years older than me. She's 8. And my parents were driving up to Boston to see my brother, my older brother. He's 20 years older than me, do a performance for a play in Boston. So we're driving from New Jersey to Boston, and the rental car that my parents had a hatchback, like you could fold the back seat down and fold it up. So my sister pulled the little thing, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, we could go into the trunk." So she crawls into the trunk, and she says, "As soon as I bang, let me out." So I'm, like I said, 6, she's like 8 or so. She goes in, probably about 30 seconds, 60 seconds pass. She bangs. I open the thing, let her out. She's like, "It's so cool in here. You should try." So innocent little Mike goes in there. I go into the trunk and I stay there, and probably 30 seconds pass and I bang. Nothing. I start panicking. I'm in a frenzy. I'm crying 60 seconds, bang, and my parents are in the front seat. They don't know what the hell's happened. And probably it felt like an eternity. I was probably in there for maybe 90 seconds at most. I thought I was going to die. And that's my first earliest memory with trust, that I trusted my older sibling in this case and didn't follow through. And that is kind of like shaped some of my decision making around control, around being in charge, around just being independent, and some of that frame of who I was, uh, letting go of things that I don't know if that was like the pivotal part, but I did a lot of deep dive Tony Robbins, Date with Destiny stuff of trying to unpack this, because I was a chubby kid. I was overweight. I had nicknames like Abramowitz. I had nicknames like the Hunchback of Israel. Like I had like all these fucked up, you bully kids, like overweight. I remember weighing in, and when the little nod in 8th grade went from the 200 over the 200 mark, and all the kids behind me are like laughing, like all these like traumatizing childhood bullshit, limiting beliefs that were really, really tough. And then when I reached 18, I said, "Fuck this, I'm out." That was all Michael. Michael was like that version of me. I moved to college in Florida at 18, and then Mike was the birthplace of Mike, and started selling Cutco, and then got into the personal growth, got into, figuring out over the last 20 years of like, what did that actually mean for me? Who was this chubby, fat kid? Where did a lot of that come from? And that's where I can unpack it. And when I was in Front Row Dads Live, doing that meditation was just revisited that moment in the trunk of a car where it was me, 6-year-old me. And then, John, it was my son, James, having a conversation with 6-year-old me. This is some like out there, far-fetched, on drugs, but just through breath work, that I can't remember his name, the Australian dude, the really good looking guy.
Steph.
Oh my God, that guy is incredible. And he took us through that journey. And it was my son, James, who's never said a word. He wasn't even 2 years old yet, having a conversation with 6-year-old Mike in the trunk of this car, telling me, "You're going to be fine. You're courageous. You're strong. Everything that I am and will be as a person is because of you." Like telling this 6-year-old self, I was like, oh my gosh, that memory as a child is just really profound for me. And it shaped a lot of just who I have grown up to be.
You've talked with your sister about this since then?
Oh yeah. I mean, she's a kid. She didn't know what the hell she was
Did
doing.
she forget? Was she trying to be playful? Was
Just
she just,
playful,
yeah,
just being playful. It was kids being kids, but 6-year-old Mike does not
yeah,
have
absolutely.
the bandwidth to know anything different.
Yeah. How do you view trust these days?
Oh, I've done all the work on it. I feel a lot better, and I feel pretty good about it, like pretty trustworthy, pretty understanding, pretty liberal when it comes to human beings as who they are, and that everyone's doing the best that they possibly can. So with what they're got, so I've done a lot of work around that.
And not only that, but actually we'll get to this towards the end, but you actually now built businesses on systems and trust in others in many ways. So it's
Yes.
wonderful that you've taken what was a challenging moment in time and done what a lot of great entrepreneurs do and turned it into an asset for yourself and some in an area where you might thrive. Talk to us a little bit about present day in your world. What's something going great for you as Mike these days? What's a win we can celebrate?
Win right now is Vibrant Health, man, with the pillar that we're in. February 1st, I weighed in 228. And just so you know, my baseline has been like 220. But I was like, screw this. So I just said, all right, I'm going to track 5 things every single day. I'm going to track my vitamins. I'm going to track my stillness. I'm going to track my macros. So under 2000 calories, over 160 grams of protein. And I'm going to work out 5 times a week. So that was it. Made the parameters, followed the rules, and I've done it now. And I weighed in 228 February 1st with a goal to get to 212 by May 1st. And right now we're recording this April 25th, and I weighed in at 211.8 the other day. So to be able to just stay disciplined on the pillar, the sweat challenge, being able to just follow through on that, that's a real big win personally from a health standpoint. And a personal win from a family standpoint is that my son, James, he was born at 1 pound, 4 ounces. He could fit in your hand. We were in the hospital with him for 254 days. Well, he was vent dependent on a ventilator until December. And then he took his first breaths off the ventilator in October. Then in December, he was fully off the vent, and now he's sprinting. And tomorrow or Thursday, we are scheduled to have his trach taken out. So for his decannulation, after what has been quite the journey for him to be able to like fully be off the trach, off of just the ventilator and all of that stuff, is just a huge win to be in a position. Now, is it 100%? We'll find out on Thursday, but we're at least scheduled for it, which is really it's going to be a beautiful moment. So those are a couple of
Wow.
wins right now.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you and your family. That's incredible news, man.
Yeah.
How much does he weigh now?
So now he's probably about 24 pounds. I mean, he's awesome. He's a fun, happy kid. I mean, everywhere we go, we get compliments like, oh my God, his blue eyes are so beautiful. He's so cute. And I know everyone thinks their kid is really cute. That's just the standard. But when you have a lot of strangers be like, that is a really cute kid, it
Starts to
is
affirm it for you.
yeah, it definitely affirms it even more. So he's
Uh,
fantastic. He's fun. He's learning sign language more and book, and he's starting to kind of find his own personality. And it's my wife has done just a beautiful job with him while I'm in here, working, and she's out there working with him as a full-time medical mama. It's really been a beautiful partnership that we have.
what would you say to a dad or a mom that's listening that has a new child with medical challenges? What advice, what personal reflection, what encouragement would you give?
I would say one day at a time. I mean, it's so overwhelming, John. Like, I mean, you and I had a quick conversation back when we were in the hospital. It's just like so overwhelming of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Is just to navigate that is just so challenging, because in one day you will get like he's doing really well to he might die to like he's actually making progress, and it's like we're actually seeing a decline. Literally there would be a peak and a valley in the same day, and to not be able to navigate those emotions of uncertainty, it is it's really hard to give advice or counsel other than just try to be as grounded and present as possible in each of those moments, and like try not to go on the that to go on that ride, that was really tough for me to just stay grounded. So I walked. That was my like grounded mechanism. So I was just like, I'm just going to do 60,000 steps. I don't have the capacity to go to the gym. I don't have the capacity to like read books, but I'll walk. So I would just do 60,000 steps every week. And I would track it, and I got a Fitbit, and I've kept that ritual, but that was my one thing to keep me grounded. It was just like, I'm just going to walk and just pace and move my body as much as I can in such an uncertain time, because that's what I have the capacity for and the bandwidth for. And that really served me during that season for sure. And then the communication with Lindsay has been, you know, we've done a good job with just speaking the unspoken with one another, and timing of that unspoken. Like, I know I have to handle my own shit. I'm not bringing my shit to her. And it's like, I would make sure that if there was something, I would bring it in a way, an intentional way, where it wasn't just triggered conversation of me vomiting my feelings onto her, because she's dealing with her stuff too. So, and the third, if there was a third, is having counsel. I did spend a decent amount of money to make sure I surrounded myself around counsel to support me and be there with me. So that way I have just listening ears that can allow me to be heard and felt and seen. So my wife didn't have to have that burden on her either. And no one in my family and no one in my friend group, no one really understood or can empathize. So those were some of the things that really helped.
What's an obstacle currently you're trying to overcome as a dad, as a husband? You know, big category of family, or all six pillars for us. What's an obstacle that you're working through?
Right now we're going through IVF for what is the fourth time. So we've had we had one miscarriage on IVF. We had a stillbirth at IVF at 20 weeks. So we had a miscarriage at 6 weeks. We had a stillbirth at 20 weeks. And then we had James, who was born at 26 weeks. And then there was another miscarriage in the mix. So for my wife and I to have the courage to go through IVF again and be able to just, every time you're talking like 20 grand, and every time it's just the emotional burden of like going through it. But we really want to we really don't want to raise an only child, and we really want to have at least two children. And with us both being in our late 30s, we just want to bring another child into the world. So at this point in time, we're going through the process, and my wife is, you know, doing the injections in her hip every single night, 9 p.m. We got to give that jab, and she does her Lovenox shot in her stomach, and it's fucking awful, man. Like it's just terrible every night to see the bruises and just the band-aids. And like, I fucking hate needles as it is, but to have to endure that all due to male factor. So male factor infertility is why we're doing this. So as a man, to experience that, my sperm count was double digits back in 2018. Like I had 16 sperm, and the average male has 20 to 50 million. And to
Wow.
find that news out in 2018, and then having to fucking be a man that can't get his wife pregnant, to work through that in 2018, and still to this day, every time I give an injection, knowing that it's like, fuck, we're doing this because I don't have enough sperm. So it's like, to be able to work through that is definitely been a challenge. It's been a journey. And every 6 months I go in for an analysis, a semen analysis, just to see where I'm at. And what's interesting, John, is I went to doctor's appointments and urologists to figure out like what's the cause. Nothing. Prostate exam, nothing. Colonoscopy, nothing. Ultrasound of my testicles, nothing. Like literally could not figure out. So it's like, there's nothing we could do. There's no solution. So I went the natural path: cold therapy, vitamins, supplements, changed my diet. I was strict vegan for 7 years. I started adding seafood and then eggs and then meat, getting testosterone levels by going to the gym and working out. So every 6 months I've gone, and it went from the 16 that it was, double digits, to 750,000 to 2 million. The most recent one was 7 million. So naturally being able to bring my sperm count from double digits to 7 million. So that's where I was at this couple months ago. So I'll go in again and just continue to just change variables as a self-diagnosed, practitioner over here, because my ultimate goal is to help other men. I think there's a lot of men who, in quiet desperation, that I was in this very fucking lonely island by myself, that I was like, who do I talk to about this now? You know? And there was one male group, and the divorce rate, like there was like 300 men in this group worldwide. And it was like, my wife and I are getting divorced. My wife and I are getting divorced. We can't take this, the pressure and this and that. I'm like, I can't be a leader for these men, and I also can't learn from these men. So I was like, I got to figure this shit out on my own. And it's been a lonely island. So at some point when we're kind of through this season, I'll be able to, have something that I'm excited to serve this audience with at some point. But right now I kept a video vlog. I have like 21 private recordings I've kept over the course of the last few years of just capturing this journey for myself. And maybe at some point I'll be able to share that with other men that are experiencing this. So that's a challenge.
I love that you want to help other guys. And I know there's a lot of guys who are facing this, some very quietly and in solitude, trying to figure this out. Okay, so a couple questions here. One, I remember hearing a study about cell phone in the pocket. That was probably one of the early discoveries for you, I'm guessing.
That was one that I definitely saw. So I started, putting my phone inside my water jug in a pocket versus keeping it and just keeping the jug on me. That was one. There was tons of variables, John, like literally there's probably a list of like 15 or 20. So I just did them all.
Can you identify a period of time when you might have done something that you saw the biggest leap? I know you saw some pretty big milestones there, but can you narrow it down to?
It's hard to say which ones, because I literally did
it all.
I did every single one of them. I continue to do every one. So now where I'm at is I'm just figuring out the timing. So 2 days abstinence versus 4 days abstinence versus 5 days, which one gets me the best count?
Yes.
Which supplements, so which vitamins, so vitamin C, zinc, vitamin E, B complex with the folic acid, the ashwagandha, magnesium. So like all the different supplements, I've just been taking those. So when I don't take those vitamins, and when I do, there is definitely a shift there. And then going from the diet, adding in eggs and meat and seafood, I think that was really important, but I've kept that. And then the weight training has been really important. Like I couldn't do any push-ups, and I could do maybe 6 to 8 and like maybe 1 chin-up possibly. But now I could probably crank out maybe like 40 push-ups and like 10 or 12 chin-ups and like 20 dips, because it's just been an intentional muscle gaining a journey, because that's something that was supposed to be helpful. Yeah.
This is such great news, man.
Yeah. So,
this is such great news. And by the way, I'm thrilled for you, but I'm also thrilled for anybody that's listening to this, that whatever they're facing, something, it might be totally different, right? Like for me, it's been trying to figure out this inflammation in my body and this low iron and all this stuff for like last 5 years. I've been working on this. And what's so cool is to hear that you dug in, made changes, made difficult decisions, were disciplined, started making the shifts, not just, hey, just take another pill. Here's another pill to take. But you're like, let me go look at diet. Let me look at exercise. Let me look at all this, take a holistic approach, and you're changing your numbers. That is fantastic, man. I just want to celebrate that with you. I'm thrilled.
I appreciate it. It's the challenge is being like this perfect specimen. So it's like, it's almost like you need to be perfect, right? It's like doing all the shit we're supposed to do, the meditation, the cold therapy. It's like taking your vitamins, eating healthy. It's like, well, if it was so easy, everyone would just do it. So it's really, really fucking hard. But it's also which is the hard. It's like keep doing these fucking injections, and which we're doing, but or not having the kids that we want to have, or not being able to solve this problem. I don't know, like which hard is harder, living with regret that I didn't figure this out. Like, I don't know. It does weigh on me. And this is a very long answer to the initial question, which is, what is the hard that I'm working through?
Yeah.
This is the hard that I've been working through.
Just in case there's somebody out there listening to this that has resources for you, that's been down this road, that figured something out, and they want to get in touch with you, how can they reach out, assuming you would want to hear from that person?
Oh, for sure. I mean, probably email mike@betterthanrich.com would be the easiest way. I mean, I'm all over social, but if they send me an email, letting me know they listen to this, mike@betterthanrich.com, that would be awesome. I would graciously accept.
especially to our front row dad brothers listening to this that are in the community directly. This would be an incredible gift to Mike. If you have some resource that is tested, proven, you've had results yourself, or you know somebody that has, that would be great. I appreciate you sharing that, man. That's a big one. And it's going to help a lot of people that you just shared that, whether or not they're dealing with that specific challenge for all the reasons I just said. On the note of community, which we just mentioned, why front row dads, man, you are part of several incredible communities. You have a lot of great people around you. Why did you say yes to this brotherhood?
I align with the mission. I mean, to be a family man with a business versus a businessman with a family. And I saw my dad my whole life. He works 6 days a week, would drive back and forth from Matawan, New Jersey to Trenton, New Jersey, an hour each way. So we'd spend 2 hours in the car. He would work in his plumbing business 6 days a week. And then we would get the rest. And a lot of times he was learning a language and feeding his mind and being, working out. And my dad's 82. He's in great shape. He's an ambitious, hungry, hardworking dude. He's so loving. I have embodied many character traits. The PB&J for Tampa Bay, we've provided 100,000 sandwiches because he used to take me to feed the homeless when I was a kid. So it's like I've learned so much of contribution and giving and ambition and hard work and work ethic from him. I also witness what are the consequences of on the relationship or parenting, that it's just hard to check all the boxes. So I think that front row dads is that community of men who are on the same mission as me. Like, let's take care of all the boxes, and if we're out of alignment, there's a community of other brothers that are saying, hey, let's get back and let's get back on it with one of those pillars, whether it be wealth and legacy or the vibrant health or relation, marriage, the thriving marriage, the parenting, emotional intelligence. So, or the business. I mean, all of them have been, I've needed it over the last couple of years. I've been in the brotherhood. And it's actually, the short of it is I've watched it be built from the front row foundation to the front row dads, and everything that you've done and everything the community has evolved. I've watched from the sidelines be like, I don't know. I'm not a dad, but I'd like to be this. When can I jump in? And then literally as soon as I was a dad, I'm like, I got to join that brotherhood. Cause I was like, I can't be a member yet. But then I found out there was another dude that wasn't a dad that you let in. I was like, shit, I could have joined this shit a couple of years ago.
That didn't work out, by the way. It was an experiment. We decided that was not a good one. Yeah. It was awesome though, that he wanted to join. He wasn't even a dad. He's like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah. But that's a thread that needs to be commonly woven throughout. Yes. I appreciate that, Mike. It's been cool getting to know you more and more. There's things that I notice, like, as I get to know you as a person. And one is that I just think that you are very resourceful. I want to just throw that to you, that my reflection to you is that you're resourceful. That if the brand is like, Mike will find a way. Like, Mike's going to find a way, and he's going to put the system in place. He's going to have the discipline to do it. He's going to ask the right questions. He's going to show up to the right moments, connect with the right people. Like, he's going to ask the right questions. And right is interesting. Maybe it's not right, but he's going to keep asking questions, keep refining those questions, keep experimenting with those questions until he continues to get the results that he wants. And I mean, I just love having guys like you around the community. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
Let's talk for a moment, and we'll kind of conclude with this of what is the business part of Mike? How are you keeping the lights on? How are you putting food on the table? What's your business focus right now?
Well, the short of it is I've been in Cutco for 20 years, and my office is always in like 50 to 75,000 a year in revenue. And then I hired a business coach who is now my business partner, but he showed me how to scale that business and like how to figure out how to automate and systemize and have offshore workers and like be able to win back time so I can be a family man as a Cutco district manager. And so 2017, 18, 19, I just started putting these systems in place. And then COVID hit in 2020. I was like, all right, let's, execute. And we did like $2.5 million in sales. We just crushed it. And when James was born, my wife was making 75 grand a year as a corporate recruiter. She had to like leave that to become a full-time medical mama. And I'm like, well, what the fuck am I going to do to replace her income? So I completely offloaded my Cutco office completely. It's still running. It's functioning without me, and it's creating 6 figures in profits without me there. And the last 2 years without me running it through a staff, so it's freed me up to go over here and build out what was a six-figure coaching business that I sunsetted. I started it from scratch and created $100,000 in 12 months just by saying I'm going to be a coach, and with coaching and helping help from some of my community. That was really great. And then Andrew Biggs reached out. He's like, what do you think about partnering up for Better Than Rich and really being a 50-50 partner? I was like, let's go. I was like, what are we going to do? It's like, let's help business owners systemize their business and do exactly what you did. So just teach people how to do what you did in your business to win back your time. And we started helping other people. And we partnered last year. In our first 11 months, we did $130,000 in revenue in 11 months of partnership. In the last 4 months, we've now done over 230,000 in revenue in the last 4 months. So we went from 0 to 130,000 in 11 months. And then the last 4, it's been, 100K more in less time. So we're really on an exciting trajectory of providing virtual assistant services to busy entrepreneurs and education and strategy to busy entrepreneurs that just can help them win back time. And our big BHAG is, can we help business owners save 10 million hours? So reinvest 10 million hours over the next 20 years. So we just started mapping that out. Can we help busy business owners and overwhelmed business owners reinvest those 10 million hours? What impact does that do for their families, their communities, their staff, their workers, just everything? And like, that's our big BHAG that we're excited about on this mission that we're on right now. So it's growing, it's evolving, it's been fun. And it's a great demographic and audience to serve because it's who I was and who I am. So helping these business owners and entrepreneurs has been fun.
Tell me, in case there's a guy listening to this that is like, okay, that sounds great, but am I the right client for you? What type of business, what type of revenue, perhaps, what stage of their growth would they want to come to a guy like you and to your company for?
It's a good question. If they've reached a threshold where they're aware that I'm just doing everything and I know there's some things I can offload, then we can help. So if you're overwhelmed as a solopreneur, we can help. If you're overwhelmed as a business owner with a staff, we can help. The only thing is they have to have the awareness that I am overwhelmed and I know that there's a better way of doing the same thing than what I'm doing. We would probably start them with getting some virtual assistants in place to offload some of the admin tasks. So all the under $25 per hour tasks, get those offloaded, win back some of that time so they could spend some time on the more revenue generating activities. And then from there, if they need some of the education component, like we have low retention, like our staff is constantly quitting or they're not, we have to constantly hire new people and it's a time suck. It's like, all right, let's build out an onboarding process. You'll appreciate this coming from Cutco. My entire recruiting and onboarding is done through like Thinkific and a course, and they don't talk to a human at all until the final interview. And it's like from a PR call to the interview process, the entire thing is there's no human interaction.
All right, now, real quick, Mike, for anybody listening that has no idea what you're talking about when you say Cutco, give them like the 60-second, what's Cutco? How does it work?
Cutco's the mafia, dude. That's the Cutco mafia where like 40% of our dads are birthed, but it's a direct sales company. So vector marketing and direct sales to teach young professionals and students how to sell themselves and market Cutco products. So it's a great playground for young people to learn how to learn sales and entrepreneurship at a very early stage of life. So a lot of us started there, but back in the day, and still currently, it's a lot of cold calls, booking up recruits, setting people up for an interview, and then running a 45 to a 60-minute group interview, and then doing one-on-one conversations with every one of those people. And a whole process, start to finish, might take a business owner a half a day of setting up people for interviews. And like 6 hours later, they finally have some recruits. We've automated and systemized the entire process where it frees up about 6 hours a day of the business owner. And it just happens like almost like webinar style, like on demand type of recruiting. So we can still recruit hundreds of students without having the manpower. So I've been able to save the money and redirect those dollars to spend money on higher tier talent that are better at sales coaching or better at, certain things that I could pay more money for, because I don't have to spend that time or pay someone to spend the time doing some of those tasks. So leverage that automation.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's
I
been
love
fun.
it. And would you take, are you focused on certain industries right now, like real estate agents or,
It's really not industry specific. I mean, we have everyone from a bookkeeper to a staging company to promotional marketing products to network marketing to direct sales. I mean, we have all different industries. They all have the exact same problem though. If they realize I'm overwhelmed, I'm time stretched. I had like that's more of the significance than the industry if they're an entrepreneur. Now, it's funny because Qasim said salespeople understand transactions where business owners and entrepreneurs understand systems and operations. Both of them are still overwhelmed. And if they have that pain of overwhelm, time stretch, just scattered, I would love to have a conversation with them.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. I'm thrilled you're part of Front Row Dads. And I look forward to building with you, man, and seeing our families grow, sharing great resources and building this brotherhood together. So thanks for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.